Okay, good morning, class. I have 40 participants. We will now start by taking our attendance. Will you kindly open your video? December 6th. Okay, the first half. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next half. Okay, that Rosario, I cannot see your camera. Will you kindly open? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. You can now turn them off. Week 5. We are now in week 5. Okay, so let us start. Try to share my. Okay, so we have started for those who were not able to attend last time, but we have already started with our module 2, and we are still continuing with our module 2, and that is the determination of our shear and moment diagram. No, for our beams loaded with all types of load, but still we will start with simple types of loads such as concentrated load, uniformly distributed, triangular, and even moment load. But after this, these are considered static loads. Ibig sabihin, they are applied at the members that are considered static loads. Now, after this, we go to your moving loads. And then we have stresses, both flexure as well as shear stresses. Okay. So going back to the discussion, we have our beams, simple horizontal elements subjected to transverse loads. We will try to limit the analysis of our beams to statically determinate, and they are simply supported cantilever beams and beams with overhang. So tatlong klase lang. The other beams that we have discussed last time are not included. Yung continuous beams, yung prop beams, or even the restrained beams. They are statically indeterminate, and you will be, let's say, discussing them when you go to your theory of structure. So tayo, tatlo lang, simply supported, cantilever, and beams with overhang. Okay, but of course, as I've said, we will try to consider all types of loads. We have the concentrated load, uniform distributed load, and even uniformly varying loads in the form of triangular, trapezoidal, and nth degree loads. Okay, after this, we will try to discuss moving loads. Okay, so for the fundamental definition, we have the shear defined to be summation of forces about y, ibig sabihin vertical lang. So, but this time we will always pass a cutting plane on the segment on our beam, but always analyze the left portion. Hindi na tayo mag-analyze ng right. Pero sa moment, pwedeng left o kaya right at the cutting plane. Okay, the relationship is that our shear is 1 degree higher than the load, and of course the moment is 1 degree higher than the shear. So the slope of the shear diagram is represented by the value of our by the value of our load, and the slope of the moment diagram is given in the form of our shear value. So they are 1 degree higher, no, than each other. Okay, so these are the relations that we will try to do. That is if you will use the semi-graphical method of determining our shear and moment diagram. In our previous discussion, we use the first method, and that is the equation method. No, you pass a cutting plane and form the equation, then substitute values for x and graph it. Yun yun. Okay, but this is supposed to be the summary, no, of the procedures or principles that will be needed in solving or drawing our shared moment diagram. First is our reaction. Then you have to know how to compute the reactions of your beam. Values of shear at the change of load points. No, this is when you use already second method. Sketch the shear diagram, drawing the correct shape and concavity of our shear. Then you have to locate the points of zero shear, then compute the values of the bending moment at the change of load points and at points of zero shear. Why? These points of zero shear is very important. Why? Because whenever shear is zero, moment is maximum positive or maximum negative. So then you can sketch the moment diagram. So this is the procedure that we will use in solving for the shear and moment diagram using the second method, the semi-graphical method. Pero ang inuna natin last time is by reaction. I mean by equation method. So you have to take note of the properties of the shear diagram as well as the concavity, which will be discussed with you. I hope to see this in your notebook. So yung mga notebook na check ko last time that does not contain all the lectures will not be given the full credit. So kailangan nandun yung lecture as well as the problems that were solved. Yung iba nagsosolve ng problem, wala namang figure. Hindi pwede nagsasummation ka ng moment about a certain point o kaya summation of forces vertical, wala ka namang load diagram o kaya wala ka namang free body diagram. So importante, you need to draw the free body diagram. Even in your homework, no, kailangan may free body diagram before you can even use equations from equilibrium. The last time, it's also important for you to show the where the equation of our deformation comes from. Is it summation? I mean, is it ratio and proportion o yung the deformation of one in relation to the deformation of the other? So hindi pwede walang figure in order to relate the deformation. Kailangan kompleto even if you are solving the homeworks. Okay. So as I've said, we have three methods. We have already discussed our equation method. Ngayon pupunta tayo sa semi-graphical solution. And then the third method by inspection. Actually, when I teach strength of materials or mechanics of deformable bodies to other courses or other programs, like for example, the ME, the EE, the CHE, no, up to the second method lang ang ginagamit ko. Equation, semi-graphical solution. But for CE, dapat, because this will be your bread and butter when you try to design your structures, no? Especially kahit anong klaseng design, concrete design, steel design, timber design, even the foundation design. So dapat you are very well versed sa shear and moment diagram. So dapat hanggang inspection, dapat isang tingin nyo lang, you'll be able to determine the shear and moment diagram. And what are the properties of the shear and moment diagram when you analyze your structure. So for civil engineering students, we will have three methods of determining our shear and moment diagrams. The first method, which we used before, yung equation method, of course, this is the most widely used method. It is the mathematical solution to the shear and moment diagram problem. In fact, maraming mga lumalabas na programs to draw the shear and moment diagram and they are all based from equation method. Because with the use of computers, this will really be very easy. Kaya lang, kung manual computation na, like for example, in our exam or in the board exam, in which you are not allowed to use any computer or laptop or whatever, hindi kaya gaano ng equation method. Medyo mahaba kasi. So it's better to know the semi-graphical way of solving it as well as the inspection method. So we will try to concentrate on the second as well as the third one. Okay. So let's take this first example. Let's say you're given, palitan natin. Una muna. Okay, we have solved a problem before. This time we will try to continue given this particular figure. Oops, okay, so let's say I have a beam. Okay, the beam is just any horizontal element. Let's take this horizontal element. And there are loads. Let's say we consider a concentrated load, a uniformly distributed load, somewhere here, up to there, and another concentrated load here, and another concentrated load here. So we have 3 concentrated loads, and let's say it's supported by a hinge here, and a roller on this end. Yan. Okay, so let's start solving this particular problem. Kahit ano ibinigay, this is called our load diagram. No? Load diagram. So load diagram. Okay, so of course the load diagram contains what are the loads on the beam. Let's say we have 3 concentrated loads. One is 30 kilonewtons. And let's say this is 20 kilonewtons, while this is 50 kilonewtons. And we have a uniformly distributed load na 40. Pag uniformly distributed siya over a certain length, the unit should be expressed in kilonewtons per meter. Yan, all over the entire length. Then we try to consider the, okay, let me try to, at every change of loading, we try to project it down. We need the length kasi down, down, down. Okay. By the way, when you are drawing the shear and moment diagram, kahit nasa notebook ninyo, sa homework ninyo, sa exam, no, there will be some drawing of our shear and moment diagram also in the exam. You make sure that after the load diagram, you will follow it up with the shear diagram. So let's say this will be the reference line for our shear, and after the shear, we have the moment diagram. Dapat sunod-sunod. Which means lahat ng computation, no, will be placed on the other side. You try to fold your paper lengthwise, lahat ng diagram on one end, no, if you're using a bond paper, and the computation on the other end. Okay. So let's say we have the length as this is 2 meters. Let's say this is 4 meters. Admit, laksamana. And then this is 2 meters. They are all in meters, no, another 2 meters. So this is the distances away from each other. Okay, so that is our complete load diagram. The next step is to consider the naming of the important points of our shear, of our beam. No, let's say the start of the beam is called A, followed by B. That is where the hinge is applied. And at the end of this uniformly distributed load, we call it C. At this support, of course, this is supported by a roller. We call it ABCD, and then this is E. Okay, if we will apply the method that we used before, no, you have to pass a cutting plane at every segment and then form the equation. Kaya lang marami na tayong segments. We have segments AB, 1, BC, 2, CD, 3, DE, 4, 4 na segments. So medyo mahaba if you use the method of equation. But in our case, we will use our semi-graphical solution. So this method is by semi-graphical solution. Kaya lang, kahit semi-graphical method of solving the problem or by equation method or any other method, the first step is really to solve for the reaction. Pag roller support, we expect only one type of reaction, and it's perpendicular to the support, and the support happens to be horizontal, so yung reaction sa D, I will just consider a vertical support. Now at B, I have a hinge. I expect sana vertical component at saka horizontal. Okay, kaya lang yung horizontal component, let's call it B horizontal, is already 0 kasi wala namang iba pang horizontal force on our structure. So at the hinge, I'll just call this R1. And this will be R2. There are only 2 loads, two support reactions, no, on our beam. The best way to solve for this reaction is to eliminate one and solve for the other. So if I'm solving for R1, the best is to sum up moment at R2 equal to 0 to solve for R1. Okay, let's start. Kailangan marunong mag-solve ng reaction. Kasi pag ang reaction ng mali, everything will be wrong. Wala nang tatama. Before you can even go to your shear diagram, as well as the moment diagram, hindi na yan tatama kasi mali ang reaction. Okay, so kailangan tamang-tama ang reaction. So this is our R1. Okay, if I want to solve for R1, I will sum up moment about R2 or at D. So what rotate clockwise? We have R1 rotating clockwise. And the perpendicular distance is 4 plus 2, we have 6. Okay, that rotate clockwise. Meron pa bang clockwise? Okay, I have 41 participants. Let's start. Asidera. Meron pa bang clockwise?
50 po, ma'am.
Oh, 50. The concentrated load at E, 50. And anong distance?
2 po, ma'am.
2. I will admit na si Sunshine. Okay, thank you, Asidera. Now, Aguilar, what about the forces that rotate counterclockwise? We are summing up moment about R2. Aguilar? Okay, now, sige, may sasabihin. Aguilar.
20 po, ma'am.
20 times the perpendicular distance is
4.
ano?
4 po.
Hanggang D lang tayo. We are summing up moment about D. This is 20. Anong distance niya kay D? D lang
2
tayo.
po.
2. Okay, meron pa bang iba? Sige, tapusin mo na, Aguilar.
30 po.
30, anong distance?
8.
8. And finally, isa pa. This is a uniformly distributed load. Distributed siya over the entire length ng 4 meters. So you can get the equivalent concentrated load. Do you know how to get the equivalent concentrated load? Aguilar?
No po.
Ha? Hindi na. Arnaiz, what is the equivalent concentrated load ng 40? If you know that 40 kilonewtons per meter is acting over a length na 4 meters. Magmula sa B hanggang C, that is 4 meters.
10 po ba, ma'am? 10 kilonewtons po. 10 po.
Yung equivalent concentrated load niya na 40 kilonewtons per meter is acting over a length na 4 meters. So anong perpendicular? What is the equivalent concentrated load? When we say equivalent concentrated load, yung uniformly distributed na 40, gagawin nating concentrated load, which will be acting over its centroid. So, paano kino-convert? We multiply 40 kilonewtons per meter over the entire length that it is acting. Ano nga ulit yun? Arnaiz? Gano'ng kahaba siya nag-act?
4 po.
4 lang. Okay, so if you multiply it by 4 meters, meter cancels out. So you get kilonewton, and that is the equivalent concentrated load. What is 40 times 4? Arnaiz?
160 po.
Okay, 160. And it acts exactly sa pagitan. Exactly. Kung 4 meters, stick to 2 from both ends. So, we want to solve for its moment about D. Ano ang moment ni 160 about D? Yung 40 times 4 also rotate counterclockwise, which is 160. Anong distance galing kay D? We are summing up moment about R2 or D. Very nice.
6 po, ma'am.
Alan?
6 po.
Hanggang D. 6 bar na hanggang D lang eh. Ito yung equivalent concentrated
4 po pala, ma'am. Sorry po.
Okay, so therefore, equal to 0, you can solve for R1. Arbison, will you solve for R1, please? Arbison, are we waiting for you? You can just say, sandali lang po ma'am, okay, I'm solving. Kung ayaw mo, I do not have any calculator or whatever the reason, please say so kasi we will be waiting for you. Arbison? Wala. Basinan?
136.67.
Ano ulitin mo?
136.67.
Okay, so that is, what is the unit? Basinan?
Kilonewtons po.
Of course, kilonewtons. But it's not enough. We do not just have to solve for R1. Dapat si R2 din. To solve for R2, the best is really to sum up moment about R1 naman. Okay? So, sum up moment about R1. After Basina Bautista. What are the forces having moment about R1? Bautista, are we waiting for you?
Sorry, ma'am. I'm not ready po.
Bautista. Kasople.
Ma'am, counterclockwise po is yung 30 kilonewtons po.
Will you kindly start with clockwise muna?
Okay po. 20 kilonewtons po.
20 times, ano perpendicular distance?
4 po.
Okay, meron pa ba?
Yes po.
Ano pa?
50 kilonewtons po.
Anong distance?
Then 8
Dali lang,
po.
wala pang distance. 8.
Ah.
Oh, meron pa ba?
Yes po.
Ano pa?
Then yung 160
Dali lang.
kilonewtons.
Ayun, 160 times
2 po.
2. Okay, all of this rotate clockwise. Now, counterclockwise.
30 kilonewtons po.
Times
2.
2. Finally, sana lang.
Then yung R2 po, or R2, then 6 po.
Okay, so equal to?
0 po.
Okay, now you solve for R2, please.
Wait lang.
Ikaw na rin mag-solve.
Yes po.
Thank you. So that is how we will try to do it. Now, please try to listen while we are trying to discuss. No, kung tinawag kayo, right away you try to answer. Kasi it's best that you have the practice during our discussion para sa exam hindi kayo mahihirapan. Okay, so since no, we are of course, we are still coordinating with the ABET accreditors, but medyo nakalaylo na tayo. We are still waiting for their comments. So therefore, I will be much involved in your class, and no, your exam will be not really hard, but it will now be challenging. So I will be able to give you a more, let's say, adapted exam to your capacity. You are all first timer, I believe, in this class. And on term, no, ibig sabihin you are regular students. It will be wiser for me or for you to be able to get exams that are up to your level. Okay, wala na ba? Meron na ba sagot?
Yes po.
Anong sagot?
123 for, 123.33 po. Kilonewtons. 33 po.
33. Okay, so these are the values of R1 and R2. Okay, after solving for R1 and R2, there must always be a way for you to check it. Kasi pag mali ang reaction, mali na lahat. So always double check it. Paano? We have used R1, summation of moment at R1 at R2 for the calculation of the reaction. Now to double check, we will be using summation of forces vertical. Ibig sabihin, what goes up are R1 and R2. Okay, and what goes up must be equal to what goes down. And what goes down are 30, tapos 160, then we have 20 and 15. What is the sum of R1 and R2? Chua. Chua, what is the sum of R1? We already have R1. Ito, at also R2. What is the sum? We're trying to determine whether they are equal to the summation of the forces that goes down. Wala, Chua. Ayun sumagot. Sifra.
Ma'am, 260 po.
260. Is the left side also, is the right side also 260?
Yes po.
Equal ba ang right at left? Okay,
Yes
so
po, equal po.
So we have checked it. 260 is exactly equal to 260. So which means that we have double checked the reaction. Okay, so we are now using the second method in order to determine our shear and moment diagram. Okay, let's start. Okay. For our shear ordinate, no, kailangan natin ng ordinate. Ibig sabihin, these are the ordinates of the graph for our shear. We will follow only one equation here. That the shear at point 2 is always equal to the shear at point 1 plus or minus the area of the load diagram. So yung shear natin depende sa area ng load diagram. Of course, if there is no area, we have to consider the load, no? Area ng load o kaya yung load mismo. Then the moment diagram is also parallel to this equation. The moment ordinate is always equal to the moment at point 2 is equal to moment at point 1 plus or minus the area rin. Kaya lang, yung moment depende sa shear. So shear diagram, area of the shear diagram. Pero yung yung shear depende sa load. Okay. Take note ha, we have A, B, C, D, E points. Okay, now, for our shear at A, whenever there is a concentrated, ito katulad nito, concentrated load, 1, 2, 3. No, yung 30, yung 20, at saka yung 50, if there's a concentrated load, all of those points, you need to consider the left and the right. So sa A, may left and right. Sa C, may left and right. Sa E, may left and right. Pero hindi lang yun. Whenever we have a concentrated load also, a reaction, concentrated reaction, katulad sa B, at saka sa D, that is where our R1 and R2 are applied. So dapat at those points, meron ding left and right. So ibig sabihin, in this particular problem, the shear at A, left and right, should be considered. Tapos sa shear at B, dapat may left and right din. B left, B right. Shear at C, left and right. Shear at D, left and right. And then shear at E, left and right then. Okay, shear at A left, please. When we go to point A, to the left of point A, that is already outside the beam, no? Kasi ang beam nag-start lang sa A. So when you go to the left of A, kahit gaano kaliit na distance to the left of A, we have to start at 0. Okay. Now, shear at A left is equal to 0. Now, yung shear at the next point, we will now follow this particular equation. Okay, that the shear at the next point is depende sa nauna. So, shear at A right is equal to shear at A left, which is 0. Tapos, you have to add the area of the load. Kaya lang, if you consider this as point A, to the left as well as to the right of A, wala naman diyang area. No? Kasi to the left, to the right, that is a very small distance to the left or to the right of A. What we will try to consider is only the reaction. And the reaction there is, the load there is 30 and it's going down. So you have to, if it is going down, subtract. So minus 30. Okay, so we have negative 30. Okay, when I go to B left, the shear at B left is equal to shear at A right, na negative 30. Actually, from A to B, no, from A to B, malayo yan, 2 meters yan eh. 2 meters. Kaya lang, no, on top of that 2 meters, wala naman tayo nakikitang load. Kahit na i-add mo 2 meters, wala namang intensity ng load there, so you have to add 0. So B left is still 0. negative 30 plus 0 is negative 30 pa rin. But when I go to B right, so B right is equal to negative 30. Okay, kasi sa B, that is where the reaction is acting. So when you go to the right, that is the only time that you have to add R1. And R1 happens to be 136.67. So, and it's going up, so you have to add. Negative 30 plus 136.67, you'll have how much? Positive na. 106.67. Now, when I go to C left, that is shear at nauna, 106, positive na yan, 106.67. Okay, from B to C ang haba niyan. From B to C. So that is 4 meters. So, and I have a load. No, I have a load there which goes down. So dapat i-minus mo. Minus the area of the load. The area of the load is really the intensity na 40 distributed over the entire length na 4 meters. How much is this? Cruz? Will you try to solve this, Cruz, Vincent?
Yes po, ma'am. Wait.
Okay.
Negative 53.33.
Negative 53.33. Okay, so when I go to shear at C right, that is dependent upon the naunang shear. So it's negative 53.33. Okay, I have to look from C left. Ito yung left, papuntang right. Okay, what is exactly acting at Z is the 20. And it's going down. So I have to subtract. Walang area doon kasi from C left to C right, napakaliit lang nung 0.001 to the left, 0.001 siguro to the right. So we'll not consider any area, but instead we consider the concentrated load na 20. Okay, so negative 53.33 minus 20, that gives us negative 73.33. So when I go to shear at D left, it's equal do sa nauna na negative 73.33 galing sa C papuntang B. Okay, galing sa C papuntang D. That is 2 meters, mahaba yan. Kaya lang, wala namang load on top of it. So even if I add or subtract 0, I still will be at negative 73.33. Okay, now when I am there, when I go to D right, it's negative 73.33. Kaya lang, from D left to D right, that is the time that I have to consider the reaction. The reaction R2 is 123.33. Okay, so if I will, that is going up. So if I will add 123.33, Kim, Kui, what is the answer?
Wait po. Wait po, ma'am.
Okay.
$49.97.
Okay, so that is 23.33 pala yung mistake. Ilan? Negative o positive? Positive 50. Okay. So when I go to the E left, that is positive 50. Okay, kaya lang, galing sa D, papuntang E, wala namang load dyan. No, walang load. So I will have to add 0. So I'm still at 50. Then I go to E right, which is 50. Then from E left to E right, there is that downward load, no? So when I say downward, I have to subtract that downward load na 50. So I will get 0. So the instance that the last ordinate happens to be 0, that means you are on the right track. You have the correct load. If it is not 0, there must be something wrong with your solution. But if it is very near 0, we can accept. Baka may konting error lang. Pero this particular problem has 0 error because we arrive at the last ordinate na 0. That is one way of checking it. Then you try to plot. I have 0. Then I will go to negative 30. Tapos negative 30 pa rin sa B left. Okay, tapos I have an abrupt change of 106. Sa B pa rin ha, 106. 106.67. But when I go to C, biglang bumaba ng 53. It has to be lower than 30. Kasi 30 is somewhere there, so ito yung negative 53. 53.33. Okay, sub C pa rin, that is negative 73. So, negative 73.33. Then I go to D at negative 73 pa rin. 0.33. But when I go to D right, it becomes positive 50. And then, sa E, positive 50 din. Then we have 0. Okay, now we try to form the graph. Now, you have to make sure that whenever points are on one horizontal line, tulad nito, you have to use a horizontal line. 50, 50, no? And this is also 73. Now, points lying on one vertical line, galing sa 0, pumunta sa negative 30, you should also use a straight line. Connect it using a straight line. Tapos, yung 106 papuntang negative 53 is also a straight line. So, we try to connect. This is another straight line, vertical. Points lying on one vertical line has to be connected using straight lines. And then 50 to 0. Okay. So, this is what we call our shear diagram. We have finished our shear diagram. Now, let us go to moment diagram. Okay, so for our moment, we have to make sure that moment diagram is observed at every change of loading. Sigurado at A, B, C, D, E. Kaya lang, we have additional very important points that whenever our shear diagram crosses the reference line, this is our reference line, yung horizontal line na yan. This point, which I will call F, kasi A, B, C, D, E, that will be called F, is a special line. And that is when our shear is 0. Actually, our shear diagram started at A na 0 and ends at E na 0. Pero, aside from A and E, meron pa tayo isang 0 kasi nagdaan doon ng shear diagram. So, those are really very important. Whenever shear is 0, we have maximum positive or maximum negative points. So some moment, we do not care about the left and the right anymore. We just have to get the shear at the moment at every change of loading. So kailangan kunin ang moment sa A, sa B, then you go to C, then you go to D and E. Moment at D, and then moment at E. Kaya lang, galing sa B papuntang C, kailangan dumaan sa moment F. So, moment F is really a very important point. Okay, let's start. Moment at A. Siyempre, moment at A, I'll start with 0. Even if you sum up moment at A, on the right portion or on the left portion of the beam, which has no load, that is 0. Okay, when I go to B, moment at B is galing sa moment at A. Ito rin yung equation natin ipina-follow. Moment at point 2 is equal to moment at point 1. Palaging depende sa nauna, plus or minus the area of the shear. So, nauna is 0. Then you analyze the area of the shear. Nakita nyo naman, ito yung shear natin. That shear is below the reference line. So, it's a negative area. So, I have to subtract. Kaya lang rectangle lang. The area is 30 by the distance is 2. So, we have negative 60. Sa moment sa B is negative 60. Now, when I go to moment at F, I have to consider this area. This is now the area that is positive kasi above the reference line. So, moment at F is nagsimula sa negative 60, palagi equal sa nauna, so negative 60. Tapos, I have to add. Kaya lang, ang area na ito, triangle. So, it's 1/2. Hindi ko alam ang base, pero alam ko yung height. The base is, I do not know, pero ang height, 106.167. Okay, so I need to solve for x. Okay, how will I solve for x? To solve for x, I can use ratio and proportion. Okay, I have triangles that are similar. Yung malaking triangle na yan at saka itong maliit na triangle are similar. So I can use x is to 106.67 as, syempre, kung x yan, ano kaya ito? What is this distance? Knowing that magmula sa B hanggang C is 4, what is this distance? If this is called x. Pasqua, Daniela? Ano yung distance na yan? Somebody is raising. Okay, Sipra? Admit.
4 minus x po.
Of course. The length is, the total length from B to C is 4. So kung x yung isa, this should be 4 minus x. So you can use this ratio and proportion. X is to 106 as you do not use the negative sign, just use 53.33 kasi kailangan lang naman natin yung distance na x is to 4 minus x. Can you follow? So that is how to solve for x. So what you did is relate this triangle that is colored blue and the green triangle. So they are proportional because they are similar triangles. So that is how to solve for x. Kaya lang, this process of solving for x ay medyo matagal kasi you have to cross multiply yung denominator sa numerator sa kabila, ito naman sa kabila rin. And then collect all terms with x before you can even solve for x. A better way of solving this is not to relate this. This is really considered a medium triangle and this is the small triangle. But instead of the medium at saka yung small, I will use the largest triangle. And the largest triangle is the whole length 4 is to the whole height. And the whole height is 106.67 at saka 53.33. And yung medium size triangle x is to 106.67. So in this manner, you can just solve for x. Kasi kung cross multiply lang yan, wala nang x sa kabila, so you can solve for x. Coronel, can you solve it? What is x? Kahit anong method, itong nauna na kulay green o yung kulay green sa taas, both will give you the same answer for x. What is x?
Wait lang po, miss. Sad lang.
Okay.
2.6667 po.
2.4. At least dalawa lang. Sa exam, you use tatlo o apat. So in our case,
2.67 po.
67. In our case, dalawa lang muna ang gagamitin natin. Hirap kasi magkasya rito yung mga numbers. So ang distance ng x is 2.67. I have to place it here. 2.67. Can you solve for the moment at f, please? After Coronel, we have Cruz, Vincent. Ay, hindi pala. Daniela na pala ako. Dalawang Gabriel. Gabriel naman. Dianela pala. Dianela.
Okay po, ma'am. Solving po.
What is the moment at n?
Ah, 82.40 po, ma'am.
82.4. Okay, whatever the answer there at F, I will have to copy it at C. The moment at C is dependent upon the moment at F na 82.4. Then sa C, I have to consider this. Kung ang X is 2.67, ito sabi natin, 2.67, what is kaya this distance? 4 minus X. 1.33, tama ba? 2.6, okay, 1.33. Ngayon, Dolendo, will you give me the moment at C? The moment at C is the moment at F, tapos minus what area? Kasi that is a negative area. Dolendo? We are
Ready po, ma'am.
considering this area ng triangle. Nandito na tayo. What is this area? Yan. Some C na tayo. Moment at C. Moment at C is moment at F. Tapos na. Tapos, you have to consider this area. But that is below the reference line. So, you have to subtract. What is that area? Dolendo?
Not po, ready po.
Not ready, Dolendo. Spiritu.
2 minus x ba po, miss?
Ano yung area? Unang-una, anong shape ng area from F to C? Spiritu. Anong area ba yan? Is it a rectangle, a triangle, a circle?
Triangle.
A triangle. How do you solve for the area of a triangle? What is the area of any triangle? What is the formula?
I think it's the height over 2 po, miss.
It's the product of 1/2. Base is, anong base?
2 ba po? O yung 4x po, 4 minus x po.
Which is? Alam na natin yung x, 2.67. Ano yung 4 minus x? Sinulat ko na nga.
2.67 po.
2 ba? Ganun ba yun? 4 minus 2.67 is 2 point, ano? Ano ba yan? Tama ba ako? Ikaw. What is the distance from F to C? How did you get the distance from F to C?
Yung
Ano?
pong na-solve kanina po na 4 minus x po.
Ano yung 4 minus x?
2.67 po.
Akala ko yung x ang nasolve natin na 2.67. Di ba? Ang x natin 2.67. Tama ba?
Opo.
Ito yung 2 eh. 0.67 yan. So ano ngayon itong 4 minus x? The total length mula dito hanggang doon ay 4 meters. Tama ba?
Opo.
Okay. So ito 2.67. So ano ang distance from F to C? Yun ang problema natin. What is 4 minus 2.67?
1.33 po.
So 1.33. 1/2 base is 1.33. Height is how much?
106.67 po.
Hindi, nandito yun eh. Tapos na tayo dyan sa triangle na yan eh. Dito na tayo sa
Negative
Okay,
53.33.
so wag na natin kunin yung negative kasi minus na natin to. Just the magnitude. 53.33. Can you follow?
Opo.
Okay, so what is the answer? Can you give me the answer?
Yan po, ma'am. 46.94 po.
Okay, so the answer is 46.94. Is it positive?
Opo.
Okay, now moment at D. Nasa D na tayo, dito sa D. The moment at D is the moment at C. Na-compute na natin, 46.94. Tapos, add or subtract the area from C to D. Ito yung area from C to D, ang area yan. Kaya lang yung area yan, hindi naman triangle, hindi naman circle, pero rectangle. And it's below, so I have to subtract. Anong area yun? That area is how much? Yun na ba susunod? Pabros, Giselle. Can you give me that area? Rectangle lang, length times width. The width happens to be 2 meters. Ano lang yung depth? Pabros, are you answering? Ayaw. Santos, Ferdinand. Will I wait for you, Ferdinand Santos? Got it. Gian, Ganzon. I need this area. It's a negative area. That's why I use subtraction. Anong area yun? Ganzon. Wala din. Ano yun? Grado.
Ano po ma'am? 2 times negative 73.33 po.
Okay, kaya lang wag nang gagamitin yung negative kasi may minus ko na. Magiging negative,
Okay po.
negative. Just magnitude na lang. 73.33.
33 po.
So what is the answer here, please? Give me the answer. What is 46.94 minus 2 times 73.33? Answer?
Ano po ma'am? Negative 96.72.
96.72.
72.
Okay, lastly, moment at E. Moment at E is moment at D na negative 96.72. Okay, then you analyze the area from D to E. Ito na yun, the area from D to E. It's also a rectangular area, pero nasa above, so i-add ko. What is that area? David, 40 paes. David? Wala. Jacob, Fritz. What is that area? The last area. Paes, wala. Gian. Ay, tapos pa si Gian. Kurt, Grado. Wala din. Laksamana, Gina. Anybody?
Ma'am, may correction po pala.
Okay. Sino yung nagsasalita?
Grado po.
Okay,
Sa
Grado.
moment sa D po ma'am, 99.72 po pala.
Okay, I will just erase.
Negative 99.72.
$99.72. Okay, negative 99.72, the last area. Mendoza. Ay, ito pala nagtataas.
50 plus 2 times 2 po.
Plus 50
Times 2 po.
times 2. So that gives you what is the answer? Tapusin mo na. Kung sino ka man.
0.28 po.
0.28. Is it positive or negative?
Positive po.
Okay, 0.28 is not zero. We would like to have zero, but this time it was not zero. But 0.28 is really very near zero. We can accept it. It's almost zero. So, pwede na natin tanggapin yung answer natin. There is an error. 0.28 ang error natin. If we have used siguro 3 decimal places after the decimal point, o kaya 4 decimal places after the decimal point, we could have an error less than 0.28. Mas maliit pa dyan. But since we did not, so we will try to accept it. So we start with 0. Moment at A is 0. Tapos moment at B is negative 60. Tapos moment at F, that is really the tallest, no? The largest moment natin. And it happens to be 82.4. Tapos pagdating sa C, 46 kalahati. 46.94. And then sa D, negative 99. It's lower than negative 60, mas malalim pa. Negative 99.72. And then we have almost 0.28. Yan, almost 0. Okay, now we try to connect points. Now, how do we connect points? Points are to be connected using straight lines, no? If our shear happens to be horizontal line, no, ang moment natin is a first degree curve. First degree. Ito rin, first degree. Kasi sa C to D is horizontal line, so they should be connected using a first degree. And this is also horizontal line from D to E, horizontal. So horizontal dito. But itong ating from point B to F, we should not be connecting this using a horizontal line. As well as this. Kasi this is already a first degrees, dapat it's 1 degree higher. So dapat, no, first degree, this should be second degree. And if the load is downward, that should be a curve concave downward. Ito rin, concave downward. So we have a second degree curve here. But this one is a first degree, and this is a first degree, first degree. Kasi these are 0 degree. 0 degree, 0 degree. And this is also 0 degree. So this proves that our shear diagram is 1 degree higher than the load. Itong load, no degree. Walang load din, no degree yan. Ito rin, no degree. No degree, no degree. Pero ito, 0 degree. Kaya 0, 1, and then pagdating sa moment diagram, it's already 2. It's 1 degree higher than the load. Tapos ito, no degree, 0 degree, first degree. So it's always 1 degree higher. So this is our shear and moment diagram. Question. Is there any question? Okay. So our moment diagram crosses also the reference line. In fact, dalawang beses siyang nagdaan at this point and at this point. So that is what we call the point where moment is 0. This is the point where moment is 0. When shear is 0, ito yun, shear is 0, moment here is maximum. So maximum moment. Yung 82.4 maximum ang moment dyan. Pero whenever moment is 0, that is what we call our point of inflection. What do we mean by point of inflection? Point of inflection is when our graph or our beam will have a change of concavity. Ibig sabihin, if I will consider that this beam, which is a horizontal element, ito, from A to B is a horizontal element. Kaya lang, if I will assume that it is a very flexible beam, sa bigat nito, it will bend in this manner. Yan, pag ganyan ang bending. Tapos ito rin, pababa. Kaya lang, hindi pwedeng bababa tuluyan kasi meron pang support dito. So it has to go up also there and go down there. So that is our concavity, or our flexible curve, yung ating elastic curve. If it is really very elastic, yung ating bending of our beam, which means that at this point, if I will project it up, that is the point where the graph is concave down tapos naging concave up. The same is true with this. If I will project it up, that is the point where the graph is concave up tapos naging concave down. So that is where we have our point of inflection. So that is when the graph changes its concavity from concave up to concave down or concave down to concave up. It's very important, ano, kasi whenever moment is zero, if this is a design of your reinforced concrete beam, pwede kang mag-terminate doon ng mga bakal. Pwede mong bawasan kasi ang konti lang ng moment doon. So, but if you have more moment, o katulad ng maximum moment natin na 82.4, no, that is really our maximum moment. That is really a very important value here. Ito. And this is moment. So, ang unit niyan, kilonewton meter. Maximum ang moment. Yan ang magde-decide. Let's say this is a reinforced concrete beam. Kung ilang bakal ang ilalagay mo dun sa beam natin. And also, kung nasaan. Are the beams placed, are the bakal or are the bars, are the steel bars placed at the top or at the bottom? It will be decided by the amount of movement. Pero you will always, you will be discussing it when you go to your concrete design. Pero it will be basically dependent upon this shear and moment diagram. That's why this topic is very important. Bakit? Wala pang board exam na lumabas na walang discussion of our shear and moment diagram. Kahit na simpleng shear moment diagram yun, from the simplest to the most complex shear and moment diagram. Palagi in a board exam, in a civil engineering board exam, may design and analysis of our shear and moment diagram. That's why this is the concentration, no, of your most important topic, foundation topic in your mechanics of deformable bodies. Question. Okay, kung wala, I will print screen this and stop sharing. Okay, naintindihan ba to? When I give you this lecture, I want to see it in the notebook. Kailangan kompleto yung notebook nyo. Hindi lang yung calculation, hindi lang yung graph. All of it should be presented. Yung iba, sobrang ganda ng notebook. Yung iba, parang basta lang makapag-submit ng notebook. But the notebooks are graded. So it has to be complete with all our discussions na naka-upload naman sa inyo. So walang kahirap-hirap. All you need to do is to make it complete. Yung iba nagsasubmit ng analysis of truss, wala namang drawing ng truss, walang free body diagram, walang analysis, basta may equation. Saan nanggaling yung equation? I would not know. So it will be considered incomplete. So you have to completely solve the problem. No? And I will give you the exam. No? Exam on this probably on the 6th week, kung hindi 15 Wednesday or 17. Kasi by Wednesday yata wala tayong klase because it's December 8, the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And it's to be observed. No? Ibig sabihin, you have to go and see a mass. If you're a Catholic, pwede naman sa TV, or if very near to your place, you can just hear the mass. So wala tayong pasok sa Wednesday, but we will have some makeup kasi nga 3 sessions ang tinamaan ng Wednesday, but we will just announce it, no, as we go on. Pero most probably you'll have your exam on the 15th or 17th of this month. Of this December. Okay, so I will print screen again. Hindi pa na stop share. Place it in our discussion board. Okay, now we take the next problem. Okay, so we have this as our beam, and let us place some values on it. Okay, so let's say this is the reaction and it happens to be, the force on the left is 50 kilonewtons. If it is a concentrated load, take note, no, the unit should be in kilonewtons or newtons. It's a unit of force. And if it is a uniformly distributed load, katulad nito, from here up to there, No, uniformly distributed load. Dapat ang unit nito ay, let's say we use here 100 kilonewtons per meter. That is the load. Uniformly distributed load. And in here, we just call it W. We do not know yet the value of this W, but it will be distributed over a certain length. W in kilonewtons per meter. And this is a reaction which I will call R. Tapos lagyan ko na lang ng mga lengths. Let's say this is 2 meters. This is 3 meters. This is 6 meters. Ilan na yan? 11. And then 3 meters. So let's say this is our shared load diagram. We call it our load diagram. Kasi it is the representative ng ating load on the beam. Load diagram. Okay, the total length of the beam is 2 plus 3, 5 plus 9, 14 meters. The total length is 14 meters. We have a different type of reaction. It's not a concentrated reaction, but a uniformly distributed reaction. So it will be very hard for us to solve for R, or if you want, you can call it R2, if one of the reaction happens to be a uniformly distributed reaction. So the technique in solving this is to make this uniformly distributed reaction as a concentrated reaction. So it will be concentrated exactly sa gitna. If it is acting over a 3-meter length, tigwa 1.5 both ends. 1.5 dito, 1.5 doon. Are you following? So that I can just call this R1. Okay, now we need to solve for the reaction. Ganun pa rin. To solve for R1, you sum up moment about R2. And then to solve for R2, you will need to sum up moment about R1. I'll give you 3 minutes to solve for R1 and R2. O sige, 5 minutes. Try to check. Kasi dapat tama yung reaction nyo. Pag mali yung reaction nyo, mali na lahat. So I'll give you 5 minutes to solve for the reaction first. Kindly solve for the reaction in your scratch paper or notebook. All you need to do is to raise your hands if you want to answer, please.
Miss, patry po, Miss.
Okay. Sino mo na?
Si Coronel po.
Coronel. Thank you, Coronel.
Um,
Sadali lang, hindi ko makita yung print. Okay, go.
yung nakuha ko po is 50,
Ano yan? R1?
yung 50 kn po. Ito.
Hindi nga, ano sinasolve mo? R1?
R1 ay, apo.
So, try to give me the equation that you used. But rotate clockwise.
Yung 50 kn po.
Clockwise ba yun?
Ay, clockwise po ba? Baligtad po kasi ginawa ko. Sige.
Sige.
Yung R1 po, R1
R1 times
times yung distance po, which is 1.5 plus 6 plus 3 po.
which is, ang haba kasi ng maubos. Mahirap magsulat kasi dito kasi siya ano. What is
Sige
the
po.
answer? What is 1.5 plus 6 plus 3?
10.5 po.
Okay, so you use 10.5. Okay, what rotate counter?
Yung 50 kn po,
What is the distance?
14 po.
Okay, next.
Tapos yung 100 po.
100 ba? Kilonewton per meter yung 100. You have to get the equivalent concentrated load. What is the equivalent concentrated load? 100 times what? It's distributed over the entire length na from here up to there, 6 meters. So 100 kilonewton bawat metro, kilonewton per meter, distributed over the entire length na 6 meters. So that is not 100, but really 600.
100 po.
Okay, 600 times what?
Distance po, which is 3 plus yung sa gitna po, 6 po rin.
600 times 6. Okay, what is the answer? Sa R1?
Solving po, Miss. Um, 409.52 po.
409. What is the unit?
Kilo Newton po. Okay.
Okay, next. Sino nga to? Who answered this?
Coronel po.
Coronel. So next, anybody who wants to solve for R2 naman? This is done by summing up moment about R1. Any volunteers? Okay, you try first. So, paralan muna.
Ako. Try po. Given po.
Okay, so Kevin, start.
Rotation about clockwise po is 600. Summation moment of R1 is 600 po. Times 4.5 po. Tapos po rotation about counter po is R2. Times 10.5 po. Then minus 50 times 3.5.
Okay, what is R2, please?
Wait lang po, ma'am. Forty 240.48 po.
Okay, so I will just draw the lines. Thank you. Project everything down so that you can draw the load diagram. After the load, the shear, then the moment. The reference line for shear. Reference line for moment. And by the way, we need to check. There is a need to always double check. If I told you double check the reaction. What do we do to double check? You have the summation of forces vertical equal to 0. That means R1 plus R2 must be equal to the total load. And what is the total load? 50 tsaka 600. Is this 650?
Yes po.
Okay, so if the reaction summation forces vertical is satisfied, that means your reaction is already correct. So you have to consider naming the different change of loading. It will be considered A, this will be B, every change of loading C, D, and then E. Okay, so for our shear ordinate, we have mentioned that we need to determine the shear and moment diagram per change of loadings. Okay, so sa A, at every point na meron tayong concentrated load o kaya reaction, actually this time at A and E lang, doon lang may left and right. So at A, left and right. Sa B wala. Sa C wala. Even at D wala. Pero sa E, left and right. Can you follow? Alam ba na, intindihan ba kung kailan may left and right? By the way, R1 is not, of course R1 we have solved is 409.52, but R1 does not really exist. Wala talaga yan eh. So what we need to do is revert to the value of R1. We use R1 which is W times 3. So kasi W is acting over the entire length ng 3. So if I will equate this to W times 3, you'll be able to solve for the uniformly distributed reaction. Will you kindly solve for the uniformly distributed reaction? Laksa man ah.
I'm sorry, I'm not ready po.
Okay, Mendoza. Yan na nga, oh. 409 is equal to W times 3. What is W? I'm trying to just determine the uniformly distributed load.
I'm not ready to
Ilan? Sino to? Mendoza? Are you
ready po.
Mendoza?
Not ready po.
Not ready. Ito yung ating relationship between W and R. And W and R na 409, R1. So if W times 3 is 409, what is W? Lang naman, Mendoza, Meridor. Ilan?
136.51 po.
136. What is the unit?
Dalawa ko sa atin.
Ano? Kilonewton per meter. Siyempre, dinivide mo sa 3 meters per meters. Per meter pala. Okay, so we are now ready to solve for the shear ordinate. We start at to the left of A, to the left. Ito si A. To the left of A, wala namang load dyan eh. So we start with 0. Okay, next. Merluza, what is the shear at A right? The shear at A right is palaging equal to sa nauna. Merluza, ano yung nauna?
Ma'am, I'm not ready po.
Miralles,
0 po, ma'am.
0. Okay. Tapos, you consider kasi sa A left to A right, there is only one load na nandun. Do we have to add or subtract? Pababa o pataas?
Subtract po.
Subtract. Anong value?
50.
550. 0 minus 50, what is that?
Negative
Negative
50 po.
50. Okay, thank you. Merluza. Ay, sino ba? Meralles.
Miralles po.
Meralles. Okay. Susunod. Git. Ano ito? Nestle. Grace. Shear at B, please. Shear at B is equal to nauna na negative. Ano yun? Nestle, wala. Nitro.
Negative 50 plus 0.
Negative 50. Sunod, ano?
Plus 0 po.
Plus 0. Kasi wala namang load mula sa A papuntang B. So that is equal to how much pa rin?
Negative 50 po.
Ano?
Negative 50 po.
Negative 50 pa rin. Okay, now, shear at C. Sino naman to pagkatapos ni Posadas? Sino tayo ha, C?
Negative 50.
Okay, negative 50.
Plus
or minus?
1. Plus
Plus.
po.
Okay, plus ano?
136.51 times 3 po.
6.91 pa ba yun? 51. Okay. Times
Times 3 po.
3 equals to? You need to give me the answer.
359.53 po.
Positive?
Positive po.
Okay. Next, shear at D. Susunod. Given. Given.
Ano po ma'am? 359.53.
Then, mula sa C papuntang D. Ito yun. We have to consider this.
Minus 100 times 6 po.
This answer.
Wait lang po. So 40.47 po, negative.
So 40.47
47 po.
Okay, next, you're at E left. Santiago.
240.47.
Negative.
40.
Then D to E. Do we have to add or subtract? Ano? Meron bang load D to E? Meron bang load ng D to E?
Wala po.
Wala. So you add or
Plus
subtract?
0 po.
0. So that gives you
So, negative 240.47 pa rin po.
okay. Next, shear at E right. Somodio.
Negative 240.47 po. Plus yung R2 na 240.48.
Okay, answer.
I become one. Bali, may error po na 0.01.
Okay. So we can accept, no? Kasi napakalit naman ng 0.01. Okay, we try to plot. We start with 0. Then negative 50. Sa B. Ay, sa A pa rin pa yun. Negative 50. Pero sa B, negative 50 rin. Pero sa C, it's 300. Positive, no? 300. Yun na yung pinakamataas. 359.53. Sa D, 240. 240.47. And then 240.47 din. And then we have 0. Okay, now we try to connect points. Points lying at different, at the same elevation, we start using horizontal line. This is also horizontal line. Kaya lang, these points at different elevation, no, on one point, to be connected using a vertical line. Pero ito, should be a straight line din. Kasi 0 degree, this is a 0 degree curve. Ito rin 0 degree curve. So we have to use a straight line. And also this one is a straight line. Okay, and then this is our reference. Linawan ko lang, reference line. So this time, dalawang beses, no, our shear diagram crosses the reference line twice din. So that is where our points, no, will be 0 shear. No, 0 ang shear. Whenever shear is 0, we expect maximum positive or negative moment. Shear is 0. So those are supposed to be added points. We call this A. Ito tinawag natin B. We call this C. And then D. And then E. Kaya lang those two are very important. So A, B, C, D, E. We call this F. And we call this G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, so now we analyze moment. So sa moment, we do not need to analyze the left and the right. We just need to analyze the moment coordinate at different points. Okay, so the moment at A, start at A, then moment at B. Pagkatapos ni B, bago pumunta sa C, dumaan muna sa F. Moment at F, tapos sa moment sa C. Tapos bago pumunta sa D, dumaan muna sa G. And then sa moment sa D, and then moment at E. Okay, start. Moment at A is 0. What about moment at B, please? Sino ba susunod na doon? Oops. Tupas. Moment at B. Moment at B. Sige, go. Moment at B, tupas.
Times
Dali lang. Moment at B is moment at A na
0
plus
2 times 50.
Bakit plus?
Ay, minus po pala. Sorry po.
Dito sa ilalim. No? Whenever the area is found below, minus. Minus ilan?
50
Times? Times ilan?
2 po.
2. So that gives you?
Negative 100.
Negative 100. Okay, next. Tapos may tupas. Ursolino.
Sorry po, ma'am, not ready po.
Yep.
Negative 100 po. Minus 1/2 na times base times height po.
Ano yung height?
50. Ay. 50 po.
50. Kasi yung negative, kinonsider na natin, minus na natin. So I need x. Let us call this x sub 1. Can you solve for x sub 1? You can use the triangle formed in here, no? And it's similar to this triangle. Can you solve for x sub 1? How will you solve for x sub 1? Yep. Can you solve for x sub 1?
Sorry po, ma'am.
X sub 1 is to what? As what is to what? Sumodyo.
Yung 3 minus x po.
X sub 1.
So x sub 1 is
to
50.
50 as
3 minus x sub 1 is 2.
Dali.
359 po ba? 0.53.
Okay, so for x sub 1, please.
Wait lang.
Actually, what Sumodyo did is really correct. What she did is relate the it's the smallest triangle to the medium-sized triangle. So, she will be able to solve for x sub 1. Anong x sub 1 sa Sumodyo? Ay, ano ka ba? Sino ka nga ba?
Sumodyo po.
Sumodyo. Okay, solve ang x sub 1. Sa pagre-ratio proportion ni Sumodyo, she will be able to solve for x sub 1. Kaya lang medyo matagal kasi ano niya pa yun, i-cross multiply, tapos saka kahanapin lahat ng x, then we solve for x sub 1. Ang sagot sa Sumodyo. Ang tagal.
Wait lang po.
Cross multiply.
2.4. Ma'am.
2.4. Ewan ko, titingnan natin. So her answer is 2.4 through the analysis of this ratio and proportion. May mas madali sa Budyo. instead of relating this smallest triangle, no, to the triangle that you just used, yung 3 minus x sub 1, ito, much better is to use x sub 1 is to 50, the smallest triangle, but I will not relate it to the medium-sized triangle. But instead, I will use the largest triangle. And the largest triangle is magmula rito hanggang doon. So instead of using 3 minus x sub 1, I will use the whole length 3. Kaya lang, if I use the whole length 3, I have to use the whole height 3. And that is 50 at saka 354. So what is 354? Ano ba ito? 359 pala. 359 plus 50 is 409. 409.53. So mas madali ito. Will you have the correct, I mean the same answer ba? But if I will cross multiply itong 50 divided by 409 divided by 50, what will I get?
Ay, ma'am,
What?
correction po, ma'am. 2.73 po pala.
Read out. Okay, so are you following with the one I am discussing? Instead na yung small triangle at saka yung medium-sized triangle na ginawa ni Samudio, even Samudio will say that a much better way of solving for this x sub 1 is to use the largest triangle. Kaya lang, if I use the largest triangle, it considered the 3, the whole length 3. Kasi from B to C is 3, no, 3 meters. I have to use also the whole height. And the whole height is 359.33 plus 50. And 359.53 plus 50 is 409.53. But if I will divide 409.53 by 50, we will have, what is it? What is 409.53 divided by 50?
2.7.
Actually, ito yun. Dali lang.
Okay.
Ito yun, galing dito yun. Itong 409.53 divided by 3. I divide by 50. By 3 pala. Ito muna by 3. So I'll get 50 divided by W. 136.5. Kasi itong 50 akyat natin, yung 3 divided by 409, you get 50 divided by 136. And 136.5 is W. So kumbaga, what I'm trying to say is that may shortcut. To solve for x sub 1, madali lang. It's just the intensity na 50, di-divide mo sa W. Ang W natin is 136.5. So will you get the same answer? What is 50 divided by 136.5? Is it also ibaliktad? Cross multiply 50. Ano nangyari? 3 divided by x sub 1 is 3. X sub 1 is to 50 as 136. Anong baliktad? 150 divided by 136 divided by 50. X is to 50 as 3 is to 409. Baka mali tayo. Mali ako. X is to 50 as the whole length, 3 is to the whole height, 409. Kung 136.5 divide by 50, bakit bumaliktad? Tama ba? Ano ba sagot dyan? Times 50. X sub 1 is to 50 as the whole length, 3 is to the whole height na 409. So this is baliktad. So we have, if I will divide 409 by 3, I will get 409 divided by 3 is 1 over the intensity natin, 136. 130.5, 51. So 50. Dividing it by 1 over 50 dapat to. X sub 1 is to 50 as the whole height, 3 is to dapat ito lumabas na 150, 136.5 divided by the intensity na 15 para we get exactly 136 is W. So 1 over W. So it's the intensity in W. This whole thing is W. So 50 W divided by the intensity. X sub 1 is to 50. Three five 9.53 plus 50 divided by 150. Three divided by 409 is 1/1 over W. Yung uniformly distributed. So it goes up yung W natin. Divided by 50. 2.73. Kanina ba? That's the whole length. So yun yung shortcut supposedly. So if we will try to substitute here, yung ating 2.72, 73, what is the answer? Sino ba to? Sa Mojo? Let us try to finish this first. Sa Mojo, what is the moment at F?
Wait lang po, mama. Bali, negative 168.25 po.
168.25, positive?
Negative po, ma'am.
Negative 168.25. So moment at C, please. So kukopihin lang. 168.25. Okay, so when I get C, I have to add this area. What is this area? Plus. If X is 2. Ano ba to? 3? Talaga ba? Tama ba 2.73? Parang mali naman. Mas maliit lang kasi ito kaysa dito.
Ma'am,
Mali tayo. Ano mali? Yes.
0.36 po yung X.
Ano?
0.36
Oo
po.
nga, kaya pala ako nahuwawali. Eh, hindi ko mahanap. Eh. Ikaw talaga sa Mojo ka, pinahilo-hilo mo ako.
Sorry po.
Mga point something. Kasi mas maliit itong 50 kaysa 349, tapos 3 meters lang. Okay, may mistake. Also, sa Mojo. So, ano ang sagot? Kaya pala, ito mama. Ang sagot to 0.37? 36.
0.37 po.
37. Kaya pala dito, 50, x sub 1 is to 50 as the whole length, 3 is to the whole height. The whole height is 359.53 plus 15. Yan. So you get x sub 1 equals, dapat pareho sagot nito kanina kasi ay magpareho kaya kung saan nagkamali. 3 times 50 divided by the quantity 359.53 plus 15. Okay, so you have also 0.366. Okay, 0.37 din. Ayaw ko mama nitong shortcut natin. Actually, may shortcut 0.36 to. The shortcut is, yung shortcut is the intensity ay yung ordinate na 50 divided by the intensity. And the intensity is, kasi 359.53 plus 50 divided by 3 is 136.5. Yung W natin. Ito yun 409 divided by 3. So yan yung pagkuha ng shortcut na x sub 1. So now we add this area. Ito ngayon yung 2 point something. Ito yung 2.73. Yung isa 0.36 o 0.37, let us just use 0.37. Ito yung 2.73. The height is 1/2. Base is, ang tagal kong hinanap yung mali. 2.73 times the height is 359.53. Okay, so what is the moment at C, please? Tapos ni Samudyo, 2 pass. So, apply na natin dito yung x sub 2, yung shortcut. Anong sagot dito? O 2 pass. Porsoliano. Moment at C. Porsolino pala. O yap. 3.
Yung sa F po, nagbago na po. Naging negative 109.25 po.
Okay. Hindi 168?
Pinalitan po si base po na 0.37.
Ay, oo nga. No? Kaya pala din. Thank you for the correction. Ito tama. Ito si 168 naman. Yan. Tatamain na natin. Na point. Ito point 37. Ano sagot dito?
Negative 109.25 po.
0.25. Negative 109.25 plus 1/2 base times height. 2.73 times 359.53 gives you negative isa, positive isa. Ang sagot.
Positive 381.51 po.
381.51.
Opo.
Okay, moment at G. Moment at G is 381.51 plus the area. Anong area? Triangle na naman to. Plus yan kasi above the reference line. Plus 1/2. Hindi mo alam ang base pero alam mong height. The height is 359.53. Ngayon, ano ang base? What is x sub 2? Ano ang shortcut ng x sub 2? X sub 2 is katulad rin ito. Ang shortcut is the intensity ay yung ano, yung ordinate bali 359.53 divided by W. Ang W natin 100 this time. C to D ang W natin 100. So ang x sub 2 is 3.59. Kung 3.59 to, this should be minus 6, 2.41. So what is moment at D? Moment at G is 359, ang 3.59 din. Okay, dapat mag-zero to. Question.
Sa moment po ng C, ma'am, yung distance po, 2.63.
Ano?
Sa moment po
Hindi 73.
Apo, kasi 3 minus
Sige,
2.37.
my mistake. 63 lang pala. May error pa rin dito. Ano sagot? B381.
363.53 po, ma'am.
My mistake. 363. Point?
53 po.
5.3. Hirap magbura. Kanula, 363.53. Yan. Okay, anong answer moment about G? Dapat mag-zero to. Kung hindi to nag-zero, may mali pa rin tayo. What is 363.53 plus
1,008.89.
1,008. Ganyan?
0.89.
Ganyan, 1008.89. Tama ba?
Opo.
Okay, 0.89. Moment at D. Okay, moment at D, ito yun, negative ang area. So, subtract na natin to. Okay, so subtract 1/2. Okay, so, hindi na ako magkasya talaga. Buburin ko na naman. Moment at D is 1008.89 plus ay minus 1/2. Anong base? 2.41. Ano yung height? 240. 240.47. Okay, what is the moment at D, please? Whatever the answer there, that will be placed at E. Tapos, i-subtract ulit natin. Pero area na lang ng rectangle. 240.47 times 3. Ano yung sagot dito? 1008.89 minus 0.5 times 2.41 times 240.47. 719. 0.12 pareho ba?
Yes po, ma'am.
719.12 minus 240.47 times 3. Okay, may error tayo na 2 point something, negative 2 point something, 2.29. Okay, 2.29 for our error is very small kasi ang laki naman ng ating maximum moment, 1,000 naman. So we can just consider it very near zero. Approximately zero, okay na yan. Okay, then we plot. We start with 0. Zero, negative 100. Okay, tapos sa F, negative 109. Kunti lang. Negative 109.25. When I go to C, 363. 0.53, but G is the largest, 1,000, taas. 1,008.89. Then D is 700. 719.12. And then almost 0. This is 0 degree, so dapat first degree lang to, straight line. This is also 0 degree. So first degree lang to. Now this one should be a first degree na yan. First degree. So dapat second degree. Kaya lang, if the load is upward, the moment should be concave upward. Upward to pataas. Okay, if the load is downward, somewhere here is downward, the load is concave downward. Okay, this is our moment diagram. First degree, second degree, second degree, first degree. So this is our moment diagram. Question. With the maximum moment at 1008.89. That is the maximum. The unit is kilonewton meter. Okay, this is moment 0. That is our point of inflection. When shear is 0, maximum positive moment and maximum negative moment when shear is 0. Okay, question. Red screen and stop share. Naintindihan ba ito?
Yes po, ma'am.
Stop share. I will add it in our. Okay, make sure that you start doing your homework or a notebook, ha? You already give this as our 2 problems for today. Dalawang na-solve natin today. Medyo mahaba kasi ang daming change of loadings. Next, share another one. Okay, this one. Okay, we have an additional different load. We have a moment load. Tapos one on top of the other yung mga loads natin. Okay, will you give me a load here? Kahit ano, maglagay tayo. You just choose. Ano to? Let this be how much? Anybody wants to give me a value for this?
20 po.
20 kilonewtons. Okay, the uniformly distributed load. This should be 13. Yung ilalim niya.
100 po.
Okay, 100. And the moment load. Kilonewton per meter. Ito 100. 150. Itong moment load. Let's say 150. Take note of the different units. Pag concentrated, kilonewton. Pag uniformly distributed load, ito, ang unit niya, kilonewtons bawat metro. The same is true with this 100. Pero itong 150, this is a moment load. Ang unit niya, kilonewton times meter. Hindi per meter, ha? Kilonewton times meter. Okay, so that is the main difference between the different types of loads. This will be our R1 and this will be our R2. Make sure you know how to solve for the reaction. Kasi walang tatama sa sagot yung shear and moment diagram if you do not know the reaction. Okay, so let's say we will use this as mga distances. 2 meters, 2 meters. Magmula rito hanggang dito is about 4 meters. Let's say 4 meters din to. At ito 2 meters. So the total length of the beam is 4 plus 4 plus 2, 10 plus 2, 14 meters. Solve for the reaction, please. Summation of moment about R2 is, to solve for R1 is 0. Summation of moment about R1 to solve for R2 is 0. Solve for R1 and R2. I'll give you 7 minutes to solve for R. Kasi pag mali ang reaction, mali na lahat. Make sure it's correct. I'll just project this down. When you try to draw the shear moment diagram kahit nasa notebook, no? After drawing the load, wag niyong lagay dito yung mga solution nyo. Sa ilalim ng load na ito, load diagram should be our shear and moment diagram. No? Huwag kayo maglagay ng calculation dito. ang mga calculation on the other part of your paper. So that is our shared reference and then moment reference. Okay, so for R1 and R2, please. 7 minutes. Iinom lang ako. Okay, anybody who was able to solve for R1? Meron na bang nakasolve ng R1? We need to sum up moment about R2 to solve for R1. Okay, so you sum up moment. Let us call this A. A. This will be B, C, D, E, F. Sige, Nitro.
R1 times 12 po.
1 times 12
Minus 20
minus 20 times
times 14 minus 30 times 4 times 8.
Okay, so 30 times 4 is the equivalent concentrated load. Now of this, which happens to be 120. 30 times 4 is 120. I'll just place it there para 120. Okay. Times on a perpendicular distance.
Distance by 8 po.
Okay.
Minus 100 times 8 times 6
Times
times 6
6. What is R1?
plus 150 po.
Ayun. Yan pa palang moment load, walang distance, no? Because it's already a moment. So no need for a distance. What is R1? So yung 100 times 8 is the equivalent concentrated load of this uniformly distributed load na 800.
190.
Ano?
190.83.
190
Opo.
point
Point 83 po.
83. Okay, summation of moment about R1 naman. Anybody else? Thank you, Nitro. Will you raise your hands kahit sino? Para matapos na natin to. It's almost 10. Nagpas na pala ng 10. We need to finish this by 10:30. Anybody? We are summing up. Okay, so dalawa hindi ko makita. Pag dalawa na, hindi ko na makita yung pangalan. Oh, sige, Jacob, ikaw naman.
Ma'am, negative R2 po.
Okay, negative R2
Times 12. Minus
minus.
20 times 2 po.
Okay.
Plus 150. Plus 120 times 4.
120 is the equivalent concentrated load ng 30 times 4.
Plus 800 times 6.
That's 800. The equivalent load ng 100 times 8. Perpendicular distance ito, 6. Tapos na?
Yes po.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, equal to 0. So, mas madali lang yung pagsulat ko kasi meron ng times 30 times 4, 100 times 8. Mahirap kasi magsulat pag ganito. So, it's better you just get the equivalent concentrated load. So, what is R2, Jacob?
449.17 po.
9.17. Then, the next step is the what? Question.
Yung R1 po pala ay 490.83 po. Sorry po.
490.83. So, check. Dapat ang total load is 120 plus 20, 140 plus 800, 9. 940. 940 ba to? Ay, ba't yun?
Yes po,
490
ma'am.
tsaka 449. Tama? 940?
Yes po.
Okay, so we have the correct. So we just use checking, no? Summation of forces vertical equal to 0. That is R1 kasi dapat double check yung reaction. Pag mali, everything will be wrong. So always double check. Dapat si R1 saka si R2 must be equal to the total load. And the total load is, ano yun, 940. Kung okay, so tama na. So shear. Okay, so we need to determine where do we get the left and the right? Saan ba tayo mag-analyze ng left and right? Dapat naintindihan din yun. Shear ordinate. Saan lang may points na kailangan mag-analyze ng left and right? Anybody? Okay, so meron lang analysis ng left and right sa mga points na meron tayong concentrated load or reaction. So dito, it's only at A, B, and anybody? F. Alan? Sino yung nagsalita?
F po.
F, basinan. F, tama. Tatlo lang. So sabihin sa A, may left and right. Sa B, may left and right. Okay. Sa C, wala. Sa D, wala. Sa E, wala. Okay. Sa F, yun meron na tayong F left, F right. Okay, I will start. Sunod-sunod na lang ha. Nakikita nyo ng pangalan nyo dyan sa ating participant. O participants. I will start. 0. A right, please. Asedera.
0 po.
0.
0.
0.
Ano po?
Plus or minus?
Minus.
Bakit minus?
Pababa po.
Okay, minus
20.
equals?
Negative 20 po.
Okay, be right. Aguilar. Hindi na naman magsalita, Aguilar. Arbison. Ayaw pa rin. Sige, Bastinan. Bakit tayo na magsalita?
Negative 20. Oh. Plus 0 po ba?
Plus 0 equals?
Negative 20 po.
Negative 20 pa rin. Hindi naman mahirap. Be right. Bautista.
Negative 20 po.
20.
Plus 490.83 po.
Equals?
470.83 po.
Okay, shear C left. C. Wala nang left and right to C lang. Pasok, play.
470.83. Then plus 150.
Hindi kasama yan. Moment yan. C to B to C. B to C. Yan.
$490.83 pa.
Ito nga. Shear at C is 470.83. Galing sa B papuntang C. May load ba? May dadagdag ka ba?
Kaya po,
Oh, wala. So therefore, plus 0
Zero pa.
equals?
470.83.
Okay, next. Sa D. Sifra.
470.83 po. Minus 120.
Minus
Minus 120 po.
120. Tapos na. 120 lang ba? Hindi, kasi yung 120 may nakapatong pa rin sa 100. So dapat, kung ayaw mo ng 120 muna, itong 120, dapat it's the quantity 30, yun yung uniformly distributed na sa ibabaw ng 100. Kasi magkapatong sila eh. 30 plus 100 times 4. Naintindihan ba, Sipra?
Yes po.
O, ano sagot? To combine them. From C to D, may 100 na, may 30 pa. Kaya 130 times 4. Ano sagot?
Negative 49.17 po.
9.17. Next, E. Coronel. Yan, isa lang.
Negative 49.17 minus 100.
Ay, minus. Times.
Times ano po? 8.
Hindi. Nasa
Ay, 4,
B.
4, 4 lang po.
Times 4. Equals.
449, negative 449.17.
Okay, next. F left. Tapos nito rin yun. We. Kim. We.
Negative 449.17. Minus po,
Pwedeng minus, pwedeng plus. Kasi ano? From E to F.
2, 0 pa.
0. 0
Zero.
times 2, 0 pa rin naman. So,
Zero.
sagot.
So, 449.17. Tama.
Okay. F right. Dayanela.
Negative 449.17 plus 449.17 po equals 0.
So, therefore, it closes 449.7. Question? Is there any question?
Mamaya, baby.
Dami nagsasalita na. Okay, so let me plot. Konti natin. Okay lang naman. We start with 0. Then negative 20. Then negative 20 pa rin. Then malaki, 470. Sa C, 470 pa rin. C, pagdating sa D, negative 49. Okay, sa E, 449. $4.9 pa rin, tapos nagiging 0. So that closes our shear diagram. It should always close, no? If it did not close, there must be something wrong with your calculation. You started with 0, then go vertically, go horizontally, 20, tapos 20, tapos vertically, 483, tapos horizontally rin, and this time we have a straight line. And another straight line. And another horizontal line. And close. So this is our shear diagram. Okay, our shear diagram crosses the reference line dalawang beses. 1, 2. But one of them is already a change of loading. So wala nang dagdag doon. We have to only consider that the change of loading that we have to consider are A, B, C, D, E, F. And isa na lang, G. Yung B, di na kasi change of loading na yan. So when I go to the moment coordinate, I go and analyze my moment at A. Of course, we start with 0. Moment at B, please. Anybody, moment at B? Moment at B is moment at A na 0. This is a negative area, so minus. 20 times 2 is negative 40. Medyo malapit na ako. Moment at C, please. Pero be careful ha, at C, meron pa tayo nito. Do not forget this, otherwise it will not close. Sa shear diagram, it will not affect the shear, pero sa moment, it will affect. So, sa moment, I told you, katulad ito, moment at C, we just get the moment every change of loading. Pero sa C, that is the only time that we have to consider C left, C right. Para ma-consider natin yung moment load. Okay, sa C left, it's negative 40. Galing sa B, papuntang C, ito medyo malaki. This is a positive area. This is 470, so plus 470.83 times 2. What is the answer? What is the moment at C left? 470.83. Dapat mag-0 to sa uli, ha? Pag hindi nag-0, may mali tayo. Minus 40. It's
901.66 po.
Ano ba? 801 o 9?
901 po.
901. 901. Salamat sa pag-compute. 66. Okay. So when I go to moment C, right? It's 901.66. That is the only time that I will add or subtract the moment load. The moment load is clockwise, so it has to be added. So plus 150. So nagkakaroon din ng left and right analysis sa moment. That is if we have a moment load. Other than that, wala nang left and right. So ano yan? 901 plus 150. 1051. 0.66. Okay. So wala na after that. Ngayon sa G, moment at G. Kaya lang sa G, hanapin na naman natin yung X distance. How do we solve for X? May shortcut tayo. Ang X is the magnitude 470.83. No, dinidivide lang natin sa uniformly distributed load na 130. Yan yung shortcut. Pero if you want to use ratio and proportion, X is to 470 as this other triangle is to what? Pwede rin yan. Pero alam na natin na may shortcut eh. It's, what is this? What is 470.83 divided by the intensity? 100 tsaka 30, kaya 130. So that is 3.62. 3.62. Kung 3.62 ito, ano yung isa? Minus 4. 0.38 and 38. Okay, so sa moment at G is 1051.66 plus the area ng triangle plus 1/2. Base is 3.62. Height is 470.83. So what is the moment at G? 1051.66 plus 0.5 now, 3.62 times 470.83. 1903. Tama ba? Pakicheck nga.
Yes po, ma'am.
Tapos tayo sa G. Sa moment at D. The moment at D is 1903.86. Okay, minus na to. Triangle kasi. Minus 1/2. 1/2. Base is 0.38. Height is 49.17. Okay, moment at D. 0.5 times 0.38 times 49. 1894. 0.52. At D. Tapos dalawa na lang, moment at E at moment at F. Moment at E. Ang moment at E is 1894.52. Kaya lang, ang moment at E, ibang klase. It's a negative area, but it's not a triangle. And it's not a rectangle. But otherwise, no, we subtract it. Ano yung area yan? Trapezoid. We consider the area of this trapezoid. Ano yung area ng trapezoid? 49.17 B1 plus B2. That's 449.17 divided by 2 times the height. Ang height niya is 4 meters. So, ang perpendicular distance between them is 4. Okay, so what is the answer? Minus the quantity, 49.17 plus 449.17 times divided by 4. Times 4 divided by 2. So, ang sagot is 897. Tama ba? Paki-check. 897.84.
Yes po, ma'am. Tama.
Lastly, moment at F. Saan na lang to? Moment at F is 897.84. Tapos, rectangle lang naman. Minus 2 times 449.17. Last 5 minutes. Equal to, may 0 ba? Minus 2 times 449.17. Or we have an error of 1.5 lang ang error namin. Negative 0.5. So that is already very good. Kasi very near 0. So we need to plot. We start with 0, negative 40. Tapos sa C left, 901. 901. 0.66. Pero sa C pa rin, meron tayong additional moment na 150, 1051. That is really the highest. On the side, pero may mas mataas pa, 1903. 0.66. Tapos sa G, mas mataas pa rin, 1903. Tapos sa D, 18 na lang. Kaya lang, nagpatong, kailangan ko ibaba. I need to change, no? The reference line, I may have to use a lower reference line. Kasi nagpapatong na siya. This will be our new reference line. I have to erase this. Oops. So I will have to start again with 0. Tapos dito is negative 40. Tapos sa C is 900. 901.66. Tapos 1051. And 1903 sa G. 1903 is the highest. 1903.86. Tapos 18 na lang. 18. 897. 0.84, and then almost 0. So this is a straight line, first degree, straight line. This is another straight line, a vertical line, and a curve. No, this is a first degree, so second degree na to, concave down. This is also a second degree, and this is a first degree. So this is our moment diagram. This is our point of inflection. Okay, questions? Almost 10:30. So if the points print screen, and I will share it so that I can give you your homework on this topic. Stop share and place it in our discussion board. Okay, we have solved 3 problems for today. We will continue next meeting, and that will be on Friday. But because we do not have any classes, I'll try to give you some homework. So homework number, module 1. Module 1. Ay, module 2 na pala. Module 2, homework 1. Complete the solution, please. Right, draw the shared moment diagram. On the left side, the diagram. On the right, the complete solution. Hindi pwede drawing ng drawing lang, ha? Daling mga open ng drawing. So you have to make sure that this is the load diagram. W, that is 4 meters. 2, 2, 2, 2 na lang. 2, 2, 2, 2. This is 200 kilonewton. This is 10 kilonewtons, and this is 30 kilonewtons. Okay, homework number 1. Number 2. Okay, this is 20. This is 30. This is 30. 20. All of them are kilonewtons. So 200 kilonewtons per meter. This is R1, R2. This is 2, 2, 6, 2, 2. $15 kilonewtons. R1 kilonewtons per meter. This is 60. This is 80. This is 70. This is 2, 1, 3, 4. These are all in meters. Kilonewton per meter. Okay, this will be homework 1, homework number 1. Module 2. Okay, now you can take a picture. This will be your homework, but I will also upload it. Okay, it's already lagpas na 30. So, print screen and stop share. Okay, thank you for joining.
Concern lang po.
Ako as well.
Yung ano po, bale this module po na IP po ako. Siguro po gawa ng ano, yung quiz to po.
Ikaw ba si hindi kumuha ng exam at may COVID?
Yung quiz to po, opo, ako po yun.
Sige, I will talk to you kasi I cannot give you at the same time. So you will have a makeup at a different day.
Ma'am, ano na po ako, nag-retake na po ako ng quiz to.
Nag-retake ka na. So hindi ko na i-consider.
Yung alin po, ma'am?
Ano sabi mo? Nag-retake ka na? O tapos, hindi ko ba naisama yung retake mo?
Kasi po sa quiz to po, ma'am, na zero po ako doon, ma'am. Ay, doon, ma'am. Kaya po siguro na IP po ako this.
Kaya nga sabi mo, nag-retake ka na. Dapat may score ka na.
Ano po, ma'am?
Nag-retake ka na ba?
Opo, ma'am.
So may score ka dapat.
Opo.
May score ka ba?
May score po ako nung retake, ma'am.
Tapos?
Kaso nga po, ma'am.
Hindi pa rin tama. Hindi pa rin umabot.
Siguro po, ma'am.
Sige, ganito na lang. You have to have another because you are a COVID. Parang ganun, di ba? Ikaw si COVID.
Yes,
Meron sa inyong COVID. So kaya lang, I will give you a different schedule. So I will message you privately. Okay? Pero hindi pa ngayon kasi meron pa akong inaasikaso. But definitely it will be considered. O kahit na ano yun, I will revise your grade. Pero deadline na kasi yung ano. Pero I will consider it. Pero not right now. You have to message me again.
Saan po, ma'am? Sa course message na?
Pwede sa course message.
Sige po, ma'am. Thank you po.
So, is there any other concern? Okay, so question.
Kailan po submission po ng homework 1?
Well, ito na ha. Ito na, module 2 na tayo. Homework 1, module 2 is 1 day. Ano ba ngayon? Hindi pala. Wednesday ang dapat, kaso walang pasok. So on Friday, you need to submit it. Tatlo to. Homework number 1 and module 2 is is due on Friday. If you will not submit, I will again write a grade na 0. So ngayon, we will strictly follow the submission ng mga, kasi wala nang, konti na lang ginagawa ko sa event. Meron pa rin pinagagawa pero not anymore that hectic last time. Okay, so I'll be checking already the homework. When I gave the homework, dapat supposed to be, if I give the homework ngayon, on Wednesday, deadline na. Kaso wala namang pasok sa Wednesday, so Friday ang deadline. Thank you. Is there any other concern? Okay, so I will end the session. Thank you for joining.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Po, ma'am.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you po, ma'am.